Hi everyone, welcome to Art with Kendra. I am continuing doing holiday cards, and I thought I would try to do a bird. So I'm going to start with a simple sketch, and the bird I'm going to focus on today is a cardinal. Now the cardinal is actually quite basic in its shape. It's almost a half circle. So we're gonna cartoon this up quite a bit here. So I'm going to draw a little bit of a half circle like that. And I'm gonna round that off a bit more, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of spiky feathers at the top like that. Then what I'm going to do is a nice wing, just a little bit of an overlap here. Comes back up, meets up at the head there, and we'll give it a little beak. Now, normally the beak would be a lot higher, but we're actually gonna cartoon this up. So we're gonna put the beak a little bit closer, like that. There we go. Gonna give it a little smile eventually. There we go. And a little eye. I'm just going to do a very simple eye. You could do a really big eye if you want to. You know, you could go big like that, but I'm going to just keep mine simple today. And I'll be adding my eye with pen, so I don't really need to worry about that. So this is basically all going to be red. Now I would like to give it a couple little tail feathers here. So we'll just do a couple little longer feather shapes here. There we go. And I thought since it's a holiday card, we could have it perched on a candy cane. So there's my little candy cane here, curling down. It's going to go just outside of the page. And this should be nice. So lots of red, lots of black actually, because there's going to be black in the bird, black outlines, and then that might be it. Pretty much red and black, this one. So now we have to erase the lines that we don't need anymore. So I can fast forward through this part. If you have an eatable eraser, those are wonderful for lightening your lines. Okay, so I am going to be mixing a little bit of a pink in with my red. So my pink has quite a cool hue to it, and my red has quite a warm hue to it. My red is cadmium. I don't know what this pink is, but you can see it's very, very pink in color. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a mix here. Now my cadmium red is very, very potent. It still feels a little bit orange, so I think I'm going to just add a little bit more of this. Oh, there we go. That's a better color. There, so that feels a little bit more like what I want. All right. Now I am going to add water to this first. So I'll just use a clean brush here because I already have my paint on my other brush and I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to go in here and just water down everything. Now there is a little bit of a black area in the bird itself. And I will try to kind of paint that after. I'll leave it out of this one if I can, but I am just adding water. I don't mind if a little water gets in there. Yeah, the beak is red. And I will just pick up that area that would be black here. Might add that at the same time, actually. Well, who knows? All right, so I picked up a little bit of water there. So now I'm gonna add in this beautiful color. There we go. So it should just take right off. And I do want to let the watercolor do its thing a little bit here. So as much as I am just kind of applying it everywhere, I'm also just leaving some white areas too, and we'll see what happens. Again, we have that little black area here, about like that. That's about where the black area is. Go out on those feathers. Yes, perfect. Feathers got pretty long, but I think that's okay. Maybe I'll make the body just a little wider here. Okay, there's going to be some saturated wings here. There we go. And then we have our tail feathers down here. You can see my watercolor is starting to dry a little bit. And I am okay with that. I'm going to brighten up right here. This is going to be a little bit more of a highlight right there. So brightening that. And let's see, I'll brighten up a little bit of this. Pull just a little bit of pigment out and maybe a little bit right here. There. Okay. So I am trying to give a little bit of variation here within my watercolor. Okay. And the beak, I'm going to fill that beak in. It is red, and then we do have a little bit of Payne's gray or black. If you don't have Payne's gray in the front area there, so I don't want to be too aggressive with this because I want my eye to show up, but I do want that black in there. So while my paint is still, oop, you see that really took off there. while it's still a little bit wet, I'm just going to drop it in, and I don't mind a little bit of a mix here. Here we go. Now I'm going to go just a bit more saturated with this. So technically this is wet on wet because my area around this is wet, but my hope is that it'll kind of, you know, bleed in a natural way. There we go. So we'll see how those mix. I'm leaving a little bit of an area here for the eye. I'll pull this down just a little bit further here into the chest. There we go. A little bit of a mix is nice. You don't want it to over mix though. So that's going to be that part there. And while this is wet, I might even pull in maybe a little bit more in terms of like a purple color, just to give it a little bit of shape. So I'm mixing a little bit of a purple red here. And I'm just going to drop it in the shadowy areas. Ooh, that's very aggressive. Little shadow under the wing, little shadow maybe in the tail feathers, little shadow down here. There we go. I don't want it to feel quite that aggressive, so I'm pulling out little bits at a time here. Clean that one. There we go. Add a little bit of red back into this wingtip here. All right, so I think that's looking pretty good. I think I might give this just a little bit of time to dry, or maybe I'll add in just a few little kind of textural streaks now that we have some almost dry paint here, just a little bit. These are nice long feathers at the top. Soften those a little bit here. There we go. And nice and light there. I already have a pretty good shadow there, though I do want to kind of pull a little bit more out of my wing. I want my wing to have a nice highlight here, so I keep trying to pull that one back. But inside the wing, just like up at the head, we have a little bit of texture. Let's see if I can't just drag a little bit of texture into there. A little water in my brush here and see if I can't. There we go. It's a little bit too wet for the texture. So what I'm going to do is do the opposite, and I'm going to use a brush to pull a little bit of paint out. I think that might be a better way to go about getting that texture in there. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Pulling out. So pulling out, you can just clean off your brush. And you can actually pull the paint back out of your painting. There we go. Just a little bit. I just want it to feel like there's a little bit of longer feathers there, just like I do up here. I'll pull a little bit up here as well. Just longer strokes, just for that little bit of texture. There we go. That feels pretty good. I'm gonna add a little bit of a red in there. And just a little bit of different textures in that area. I'm gonna soften that edge, soften that edge. There we go. All right, so I think that's feeling pretty good. A little bit too much of the black crept into the beak, but I think we'll live with it. So I just went in here with a dry page. What I'm gonna do now is try to add in my Cardinal's grin. So there is a little bit of black that got into the beak. I could always try to lift that out. Let me see if I can pull a little bit of it out here. There we go. Try to pull a little bit off the top. Always feels a bit more like watercolor when you have those colors bleeding into each other there. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna try to soften my edges. Here we go. A little bit of a white highlight in there is nice. And then down here, I'm gonna be a bit more aggressive. Again, I'll have those ink outlines to help me out, so there we go. And I'm gonna pull out a little bit where the eye is going to go, just so it has that pop. Just dabbing very gently with a paper towel. There we go. My eye's gonna go in there. Nice little eye. That might be a little bit too much room for it, but I can add a little bit back in, I guess. Just gonna do a little bit of stippling in that area. So I don't want it to over blend. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to do my candy cane. And I'm going to start with light and shadow. Now the bottom is still a little bit wet. I might just go in and blow dry this quickly here. All right, it's blow dried. So now I'm going to think about my shadow. I'm going to use a nice diluted Payne's gray color. Might even put a little bit of purple in it. And I'm just going to use my big old brush here. So my shadow, oh, my light is coming in kind of this way, I think. So that'll put my shadow on the far side. So what I'm going to do is just drop in my shadow, and then I'll soften it in just a minute here. A little bit of a cast shadow will be underneath where the bird is, and then we'll actually have shadow on the opposite side here. So the shadow kind of does a flip. And now what I'm going to do is get a nice clean brush and just soften that out. There we go. Soften my shadows.
Mom,
Yes, Alex?
I'm ready to paint now.
You're ready to paint? What do you want to paint?
What? I mean, well,
I'm so excited.
it's just that I was going to tell you what else I want to paint.
What do you want to paint?
Wait a minute. I know
What?
I want to do.
What?
Do you want Kelly and all the bunnies to be his friend?
Oh, the squirrel's friend? Sure, yeah, I think that would be nice. I'm just gonna blow dry this. Now I'm adding water, and then I'll add the paint after. I'm gonna add the paint into the shadow area and let it kind of go up into the highlight. Like that. Do you want to say that again, Alex?
Can all of my bunny toys be do you want all of my bunnies to be Gelly's friend?
All of your toys, like the squirrel outside that you call Gelly?
No.
Who's
just
Gelly,
all
sweetie?
The bunnies. All of the bunnies and all of the rest of my animal toys
Oh, I mean, I think it would be nice, yeah.
and dolls.
Yeah, that could be really nice. Do you want that? Sounds good to me.
Even dragons.
Mm-hmm.
But the dragons can be his mom and dad.
Oh, sure. So right now I'm still adding in that paint on the water in the wet on wet layer here. Just a little tiny bit on the highlight. I have to kind of look down sideways to make sure I'm not over exceeding my water edge here. There we go. So that should give us a nice little candy cane form. I'm going to add a little bit of a tip here that'll help to define our candy cane. Remember, we are going to be also having ink here, so we'll have a little bit of a support of the ink as well. So some of these are kind of leaving a bit more of an aggressive highlight, but I actually don't mind that. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to leave this to dry naturally while I do some painting with my daughter. I'm very excited to do some painting with her. And then I'll come back after this is dry. I'm going to add just a bit more of a shadow. Just on the shadow side here, just a little hint of one. This one already kind of dried, so I'll just reactivate it just a bit. There we go. There we go. A little bit more of a shadow in these ones. These would have the cast shadow, which would be quite a bit darker. I'm mixing a little bit of Payne's gray in with my color to create a little bit more of a shadow area. There we go. Beautiful. All right, we're back, and now it's time to add our ink outlines. I'm going to use a number 12. It's a little bit thicker than I'd like to use, but a number 12 micron is a nice thick pen. Now I'm going to be leaning into my watercolor more than my outlines. Just giving a nice little edge here to those soft feathers. Go down here and do my beak. Now the center of this beak is going to be pretty important. Cardinal beaks kind of come in. I'm going to give this guy a smile. Cardinals kind of look grumpy. think it might be just the way their beak is. Now here's where I'm planning on putting my eye. I'm going to start with just a nice circle there. Oh, I like that. I could add a highlight. I might even decide to make that a little bit bigger. For now, though, let's leave it, and we'll make that judgment call when we get back to that space. I'm just keeping my lines nice and simple. Again, just a little thicker than I'd like, but that's okay. And I think I'm going to leave that. I was going to outline it, but it became so watercolory that I think I'm just going to let it be. And I'll give a few little feather indications there, maybe even one more little line there. And now for the candy cane. I think the candy cane turned out super great. Really like that. So simple. All right, we're almost done here. Now I haven't added feet. I'm not particularly sure I want to. If I did, I would just draw them in. Maybe I'll just add the hint of a few little toes here. There we go. There, I think that's all right. I'll add a third little one here. And now it's time to decide what to do with this eye. I think I will add a little bit of a highlight into it. So I need to do that with a white gel pen. Or you could do acrylic paint, that would be fine too. Light's coming in this way, so my highlight is going to be right here. Well, I might have to use acrylic paint. My gel pen isn't giving me too much of a pop there, so I will go grab my acrylic paint. All right, so I have acrylic paint, I have a pencil. What I'm going to do, you could use a toothpick, that's probably better than a pencil. I'm just going to put a little bit of paint here, and I'm going to dab it in. There we go, that's nice. Now that I have that in there, I almost want to add a little bit of white elsewhere, but I am going to leave it. Okay, so there's our cardinal ready to be mailed away, nice and cute. Well, let's just close it up so we can take a look. So we are finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you would like to see more card ideas that are nice and simple like this one, please subscribe to my channel. I also do more complicated paintings too, so you can see a variety of artwork tutorials there. All right, bye everyone. See you soon.